And the meeting is being recorded. And I want to welcome you all to the experience. Thank you so much for being here. And I have an amazing guest from another part of this planet, New Zealand, Miss Emma Burgess. Welcome to my show, all of our spirit guides, and everyone else's show. Welcome, Emma.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here with you.
Awesome. Emma is a manifestation coach, and I've worked with her and I still work with her, and she's amazing. And the reason I want you to be on the show, Emma, is because I think you represent a wave of new leadership and entrepreneurship that's happening on the planet. And I feel like you're incredibly high vibration and visionary in what is possible. You're totally non-mainstream, and you're doing amazing things, helping people. And so I just want to play with you in the space of whatever we create together. So welcome.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here and talk about all things manifesting and creation. Because I think this stuff really matters. And I think that people want more, and people are ready for more, and they're ready to go to new heights and create what they want. And so I think manifestation is at the core of all of that.
I love that. And it's true. I mean, yes. And when you say, I think people are ready for that, I want to hear how do you feel? Like, what does that feel like for you? I mean, tell me about, I personally know that you're a highly sensitive person. You tune into your intuition. You're connected to your guidance. I don't think you could do what you do otherwise. So however you want to talk about it, but how you connect in to your soul mission, I guess, would be the easiest way to put it.
Well, I feel like for years and years, one of the reasons I think I wanted to start coaching is that often I'd be talking to people and they'd tell me one thing and I was like, no, they'd say, oh, like I'm doing this thing and I really love it. And I'm like, no, you don't, right? Like I've always been able to kind of see what people's truth is and what they really care about.
Oh, so like you can feel the incongruence.
Yes, I am very good at being like, no, like there's the incongruency. And so one of the reasons I wanted to be a coach is because people would come to me and I would be like, I would be thinking, I'm really confused why they're stuck. Like, I'm really confused as to why they're not clear. I'm really confused as to why they're not doing what they know they isn't it obvious kind of thing. And so I really wanted to help people be like, okay, but this is what you want, right? Even my friends did that. They come to me and they're just like, I talk to you and I know what I want. Like, I know where to go, right? Because I think it's so easy to get sidetracked. It's easy to get influenced. It's easy to get caught up in stuff which doesn't matter. It's easy to not follow what you want to do. And it's easy to keep ourselves small, really.
Totally.
So I just think but I think we are fully free when we're really following what's right for us. We're being our full selves and we're giving ourselves permission, and we're not being held back by our fear or our limitations.
I think you're talking, well, obviously you're speaking my language, but I think what's cool is that you are describing your particular skill set, which is completely unique to you. Like, no one else has it in the same measure that you do. And so what I'm envisioning when I hear you is that it's almost like you're seeing, sensing, feeling in some way the incongruences. And I think about this because I work with people to help them hone in on their extrasensory gifts and use consciousness for that. And so when I think about how each person has their own unique way of doing that, like I know people who can hear, like I do this too, hear incongruence. Like they'll say, I want this, but there's like almost like a distortion in the field that I hear. And I have and my friend Tracy in particular, who's also been on the show, she does that too. And so it sounds like there's a way that you're sensing it on some level that's like, I saw a vision of like like it's showing up almost like on a screen of some sort. Like you could see it. I don't know. How do you experience it, Emma?
I just feel it. Like I just feel when someone like just talks to me about something, I'm like, no, 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 but you want this. You know what I mean? I can see through their human and their doubt and their worries and their
So it's like you're
limitations.
seeing their soul or
Yeah,
feeling their soul, maybe.
exactly. And I think
Cool.
one of the things I can struggle with is that I can see things so clearly. And what I've had to really learn to and be okay with is the pace that people want to move at and the pace that they want to move through
I can
things.
so
You know what I mean?
relate to that. Oh, yes, of course.
Because just because I can see it and just because I know it's available, just because I know what, I think what people can experience, it's being okay that maybe they're not ready for that. Maybe they don't want to step into that, and that's okay too. And being okay. Yeah.
That's like the earthly experience. I think of, on a soul level, we're doing that every day, all day. Like we're like, we get to go, we're manifesting, we're creating. We don't have physical bodies. We're just like, woohoo, let's do this. Okay, cool. And we can just go, and we don't have intimacy issues, and we don't have like commitment issues. And then we come into the physical body, and we're like in these bodies, and we're like, do I kiss you? Do I like, we're like, oh, we have tactile engagement with the reality and with people. And I think that's part of the light workers, the way showers, the people who are doing this kind of divine connected work. It's like we're so used to doing it in non-physical, and then we choose to come into these physical bodies and engage in this way, and it can be a little hilarious.
It is very hilarious.
Yeah. So I don't know. Do you ever think about non-physical stuff, like your soul, and I don't know, other people's
To be
soul?
honest, I think I am here to help people get what they want on this planet. You know what I mean? And this is where even when I want to say, like, I'm spiritual in a sense. Like I get this. I believe in multiple lives. I believe in guidance. I believe in soul. I believe in all this stuff. It's all valid. It's all useful. I use it all. That's beautiful. But I am also very, very grounded here. And I'm very into, like, how can I help people make this like really, really, really amazing, like this out of this world incredible, rather than
So important right now.
I feel like spirituality is often approached from a perspective of how can I be out of this world all the time? Like, how can I just be separate?
Checked out.
How can I be checked out? How can I be like, so doing all the spiritual things? And I'm like, I'm very into practical spirituality. I'm very like, what do you like? I'll like look at your life, like what's not working here? Let's move it. Like, not like, did you know you've got a soul? But like, how are you now? Like, because this is actually your experience right now. This is your experience. This is what's real for you right now. And so how can we make this better, juicy, what you want it to be?
Rather than a fully integrated view though, right? Like I feel like that's where we have to go. Maybe it's a generational thing too. It's like there's an awareness, like when you have a connection with the greater consciousness or the soul self, it's like, oh, it's this magical, mystical thing. But then ultimately it's like, isn't the integration the most, and being here, like the whole point of being here is to be here. And I think that's freaking awesome.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, my thing, I should have muted my Facebook. I might do that. I think it's just really important that we, stay grounded in being here, and we stay grounded in who we are here and our experience here. And we make this so amazing. We make this so incredible. We make this the best it can be. And like, I think humanness is still real, right? Like, I think even when I see so many people, one of my favorite things to teach is I've done a whole program on manifesting for perfectionists. And so many people come to me and they're like, I'm so annoyed. I know what manifestation is, and I'm not doing it, and I'm out of alignment, and I'm feeling this emotion. And I'm like, whoa, and you're human, and you're here to have emotions. And the reason so many people in my world, because they know about manifestation, the main reason they don't create what they want is because part of them is so terrified about being out of alignment and not being high vibe. And I'm like, you've created so much resistance around the process of manifestation. You've brought your perfection into manifesting. You believe you can't have what you want because you're worried about something. Like we're making this whole manifestation thing so much more complicated than it needs to be. And so I, help people take the stress off manifesting so it can become more normal and natural and you can get what you want being yourself. Because otherwise, people who know about this stuff are finding it harder to manifest than those who don't, because they've added all this pressure and perfection and, criticism to the whole process.
100%. And so when did you start getting into manifestation? Like, how did you get turned on to that?
Well, end of 2000, around about 2014, I got sent a video from a friend of mine, and I was sitting at home at my mum's house, and I was like, I'll just watch this random video. And I was talking about manifestation, and it was talking about how it's good to, like, you create your own reality. This is how it works. And I never really heard it. I was like, okay, then whatever. But it said, start small. Choose something small, like a cup of coffee, and manifest it. And like, just start with little things and build up. And so I watched this video. And so I got my laptop and put it to the side and said, okay, universe, like whatever. Like part of me was like, I'm going to play with this, but like, okay. I said, okay, universe, if this whole thing's real, then my mum is going to bring me fruit home from work. So I said, universe, fruit home from work. So I picked up my laptop and just kept watching other things and completely forgot about it. And about 45 minutes later, my mum arrived home from work and I was just completely forgotten about the whole thing. And so she walked in the front door and she goes, hey, Em, I bought you some fruit. And so I remembered and I started laughing and I was like, oh, mum. I walked up and I was like, mum, I was watching this stupid video before and it said you create your reality and to focus on something. And I said you're going to bring fruit home. And so I was like, haha, this is so funny. But she'd bought me 7 types of fruit. And I was like, it wasn't just like, oh, she, there's some banana. It was like, you just got me, like, I was like,
there's something to this.
Weird. It was just more like, this is very abnormal, And so when that happened, I was like, okay then. And so then I was working at like a pool and gym facility over summer. And so often, because it was warm days, it was busy and it was really hard to get a park. And so what I started playing with is like, hey, there's going to be this car park. And I would decide, I lived 3 minutes from the pool. I was like, listen, this is the car I'm going to get. I'd vision it and I'd go. And then it would always happen. I'd roll up and it would just come available. And it was like, so I started practicing like in that way. And then, yeah. And so I first discovered it 2014, but I feel like there's a big difference between discovering manifestation and being good at manifestation.
Yeah. Well, and it wasn't that long ago that you discovered it. So there's clearly a knack that you have.
Well, to be honest, when I found manifestation, the reason I was so excited, I was like, I am a control freak and I can get what I want. This is fantastic. And so I started like working on my relationship with myself first. And then I, was like, oh, I really want to call in a partner. And so I played with the partnership thing. And then it just kind of moved based on what I've been caring about. And it all came because I was like, I want more. Well,
I think well, it's interesting. I mean, maybe you would know more about this, but I think there are some people who are just naturally, I mean, I think we're all naturally kind of good at it. I manifested my husband totally like if you were to decompartmentalize how that happened, I did it like perfectly. And it was, I mean, I kissed a lot of frogs. So there was a lot of build up to it. But the way that it happened was like, I'm like, no, I know I'm not going to be alone. And I know I feel him. I just feel him. I know he's there. And I just let it, like, I just knew it was going to happen. And then it surpassed my expectations. And I met him at Burning Man and it was so cool. It was freaking awesome. But I think there are some people who really struggle with manifestation, or they manifest the things that they don't want. And I'm just curious what kinds of things that you notice in terms of like how people manifest?
One of the things that all humans do is they judge themselves. Like the amount of people come to me all the time and go, based on what they're experiencing in their life, they're like, oh, Emma, like this isn't how I want it to be. Or look, and they're kind of in the space of like beating themselves up. I'm not good enough. Look what I've created. And very quickly, when I start talking to them, firstly, they know exactly why they've created it. And second, they realize which part of them doesn't actually want what they say that they want. And this is where manifestation's interesting, because we manifest what we feel safe and we feel okay manifesting. And most people don't have what they're trying to manifest because they actually don't feel safe or okay having it. And so they have gone down the track of, I'm doing something wrong, I'm messing it up, I'm not good enough, this path, because of what they're experiencing, rather than down the path of love and coming back to self and like, which part of me doesn't want this? Why am I choosing not to create this? Rather than like, I'm going to love myself and grow with myself through this desire, rather than they go, I'm going to judge myself and make myself wrong and do it. And they miss the beauty of it. They miss the lesson, they miss the journey, and they don't actually learn what they needed to learn to move through that and actually get what they wanted. And so I think it's realizing the whole, no one's keeping anything from you. It's always you versus you. And that's not something to get mad at yourself about or be like, why am I messing up? And why am I not good enough at this? It's something to be curious about. Okay, so everything's available to me. And what am I choosing to create? And why am I choosing to create this? And which part of me doesn't want to have more? Which part of me is wanting this reality that I'm experiencing? It just becomes really different, you know? But
it's like a training. You're like helping train them to see things differently.
Yeah, but we get so caught up in judgment. We get so caught up in judgment and, well, she did that, so I'm not good enough. And this is wrong with me, that it's so easy to miss that. But I think when we get really present and we ask ourselves a few questions, it can often become really clear as to why we're attracting what we're attracting. Yeah, but it's a willingness to see yourself.
Yeah. So has there ever been like a time where I mean, I don't know how you, like if there are people who are like, I really want to work with you. And then you're like, you're not ready to do the work, or you have like certain parameters for people, or do you just basically work with anyone?
It does depend. There are some times when, you know, they're not in the right position for the work.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really kind of trying to be really open-minded with this too, because people know what they're ready for more than I do. Do you know what I mean? And so I am quite open-minded with that. But I'm also really very, I want to say, relaxed around the work, as in I think a lot of people can be very, you know, stressed when they work with clients. They're like, oh, I want to make sure I take on the right people so they get this result and this result, and it goes like this and beautifully. And I am in the space of like, I know how this work works and I know how we get what we're ready for. And I'm not like, I love when my clients do crazy things. It blows my mind, right? But also some people take more time. Some people take more time. There are people who have worked with me and they've learned these skills, and, you know, they might have like, you know, wanted to grow their business, and they've grown their business a little bit weird together. And then within the next month or two, everything goes crazy because it takes some time to implement it. And so I'm not too concerned around like, oh, well, this person can only work with me because they need to get there and I need them to get there, because the skills that we learn and we play with, they're lifelong skills, and they're going to keep embodying them and playing with them and moving them and shifting them, you know? And so I think the work is the work. And when you start to do it and unpack it, it's going to keep evolving anyway. And anyone can do it. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have a vision for where you'd like to head with your work?
Interesting you say that, right? I'm always thinking, I'm often thinking about where I want to go and what I assume I'm going to write a book at some point. I like what I'm doing now. I definitely think it's evolving. Working, with a whole range of people. I definitely see it getting bigger, and working, with very successful people too. I see that happen.
Yeah,
But I
I
do,
mean, it could go so big. I mean, there's so much potential for amazing things to happen on this planet, you know? Do you see how do I word this? I'm curious how you see the world. Like what's your worldview? I mean, summarize it, But I'm curious because there are people who are like, what's happening in the world is horrible and shitty and it's falling apart and pandemic and blah blah blah. And I'm curious, what do you focus on?
I, what a question.
I don't want to get you in trouble. And I don't have an expectation, honestly. Like
No,
there's totally no rules.
I just feel like it's so easy to be critical and to find fault with everything. All right. And I feel like we're very, very so consumed with finding problems that we put ourselves in tailspins running around like this, finding problems with everything on the planet to feel significant and to feel valid. Now, this is the thing. I don't believe that everything is always as it seems. I don't believe that everything is always for the greater good. I don't believe, it's not, but I also feel like we can't create what we want if we're always pushing against one another. And we're living in fear, right? A lot of people right now are like, well, this is what's really going down. And they are stressing themselves out to no end over, trying to say that this is what's going down. And maybe there's parts of it, maybe it's completely shit. I don't really know. But it's like, I really care about controlling what you control, taking responsibility for your own reality, feeling good, being in a state of peace within yourself, serving the people around you, showing up for other people, and leading the way, right? Leading the way through who you're being and how you experience life and how happy you are and how content you are and the beautiful things you do, rather than trying to bring down everything else. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I just think we can get so disconnected from who we are in our path because we're trying to prove everyone else is wrong,
Absolutely.
And I
Yeah.
feel like, like part of me on one hand, I'm like, say everything's wrong. Say everything right now is a scam and it's complete bullshit. If you stress yourself out for the next 50 years worrying about it and stressing about it and trying to, you're going to ruin your own life.
Yeah. How is life going to be?
I mean? And so I just feel like, maybe that sounds really small world, but I'm just like, focus on what you do. Listen to hear, follow your own guidance, love yourself, feel good, do what feels good for you. Like that is going to create things. That is going to create change. That's going to create healing. That's going to create more peace.
Well, and I see, and it's evident by the work you do. I mean, you and the people that you work with increase their manifestations, their abundance, like multifold. It's very, very impressive. And, when I think of when people are doing their soul work, they're in touch with what really they resonate with. That's a type of activism. It's like they're following their heart's path. And when you're doing that, I just feel like there's nothing that could be wrong with that. Like if you're really truly living your true expression. Because there are people who are like, you should be saying this, or you should feel this way about this belief or this point of view. And this is how, and I always get really kind of mixed up about, I don't feel like I'm supposed to feel like everyone else. I think part of who I am is I've never really had a point of view that seems to match other people's. So that's just been who I am. But still, it's like I feel like there's a time that we're coming into because the younger generations are so much more comfortable being out of the box. I hear it all the time. I just worked with an 18-year-old yesterday, and she was like, I didn't have to bring her into any sort of state. I just had her close her eyes and she was connected to her guides, and I was just like, whoa. And I see that over and over again, like where older clients are like, I can't get out of my head. And the younger people are just like, boom, they're just there. They're totally hardwired and ready for prime time. And so it's hard for me to I don't know, I just feel really, really hopeful with that. And I can't agree that what if I were to watch the news and what everything people are saying is being said, I can't agree that that's the majority of what's going on in the planet. I mean, I just feel like if you tune into the energy of the planet, it would feel really bad, but I'm not feeling that. I'm
Yeah.
feeling like hopeful. And the planet itself, I feel like if the planet was really dying, I think we would feel that, you know? I feel like love and support and balance and encouragement and levity, and I don't know, I know that's super woo, but I don't know, that I think that confuses me. It's like I keep getting that everything is okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. But this is the thing, like there are always good things and always bad things. And whatever we give our attention to becomes greater, expands, gets bigger, and creates our reality. Like that's a simple, this is how things work, right?
yeah, the
And
101.
and so often we try to get to light by going through these dark tunnels and getting really, really messed up.
Down the rabbit hole.
I don't get that, right? Because because we have a desire to be significant and we have a desire to, be important. And often it's far easier to feel significant going and finding problems and fighting against.
Like, look at this.
Exactly. A lot of, it's easier a lot of the time. If you go up to someone and you go, guess what's happened to me? Often you're going to get a lot more support than if you go up to someone and go, things are amazing. Guess what I did, right?
But that's so much more fun, right?
Exactly, but that's not always available, right? If we don't
right.
feel like we're doing well, we can often, it's easier to find faults. And so what we focus on becomes our reality anyway. There's good and there's bad. Where is our attention? Where is our attention? What are we putting out there? That's what matters.
So when I think of a group of people focusing in the way that you're talking about, it's hard for me to imagine that there's not some sort of a splintering or a diverging of frequencies of like bandwidths of frequency. Like if you're in a society or a cultural realm where people are like encouraging each other and not in a competitive space and succeeding and flourishing and thriving, and that's like a certain high bandwidth, for lack of a better term, bandwidth of frequency, and then you have people who are like warring and fighting and nitpicking and suffering, like that just feels like such a different bandwidth of existence. And I'm curious about like, how does that show up on Earth? And I don't know, I'm just putting that out there. I don't know.
Well, I feel like we're always going to have a mix of both within us.
That's, yeah, you think so? Yeah.
Yeah, like
the full range.
Even like, for example, I am happy and optimistic and I've got high energy and I see things and I get it. And then I'm human and I'm struggling and I'm triggered. And like, we're all of it. We're always all of it, Even the most love and light people, like I'm all about the love and light, have their shit. Like,
Absolutely. Well, what about the degree to which, I mean, I really don't have an agenda here. I'm just curious, like, I mean, I don't see those people, but I know they're out there, I know people who, and sometimes the friendships that like go like this because there are people who are like way more in one realm and don't want to go in another realm. I don't know what my point is, but I guess I felt guided to go in this direction. I'm curious.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we've all got both within us.
Mm-hmm.
What changes things is when we're okay with having both and we're okay with all of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I feel like sometimes when we're more aware or more conscious, it's like this whole, I don't know if I can see that person right now because like they're going through this and da-da-da-da. And if something really isn't right for you, okay. But I think we're so scared of it. We're so scared, like, I just don't know if I can spend time with my family anymore because they think money's limited and like it screws with my money mindset. And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, I think we're so like, oh, well, I went and saw this person and she was sad and now I'm sad all day and I just can't see it. Like, I think we need to,
like blaming people for bringing our energy down when it's really our choice.
Yeah, it is our choice, but it's also, part of this comes back to what I was saying earlier about we're so scared to manifest wrong that we're like, oh my gosh, I can't be around someone who's feeling bad, or I can't feel bad for a moment, or I can't sympathize with them and I've got to, it's kind of realizing all of it's beautiful and all of it's okay.
Yeah, I think you're totally right. There's like a huge softening that we could do around just being human, going through the human stuff. Well, there's so much beauty too in like being community with each other when we're going through hard shit, like when there's suffering or someone's dying or, there's, like something heavy is going on. That's like where the real harmony of life starts to, like the real topography, the landscapes really start to fill in because there's all of those juicy human experiences and not all beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's just important that we do what feels good for us. We're not scared of other people's energy. We're taking responsibility for our own energy. We're deciding what we want to do, but also realize that there are always going to be people who feel completely differently. And they're going to attract people who feel like we attract things that match us, right? And so I don't think, I think we're always going to have a whole range of different people who are going to be influencing one another and attracting what they're matched to, and it's all perfect. And it's not, it's good to have both, the up and the down.
Yeah. So if you were talking about like working with influential people, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to get specific, but is there a specific realm of society or like work that you're drawn to that attracts you, or even particular people that you would be just like totally stoked to work with?
Oh, I'm really open-minded about it. Like and this is where what I love about my work is I work with so many different people who, I think a lot of people just assume I only work with coaches. Like most of my clients like aren't coaches, right? A range of people who have a range of knowledge about this stuff. I just love activating the magic. Like I love when people come to me and they're just like, I want more. And we just do the energy work, one of my clients who came to me, who's in sales, who hadn't really heard much about manifesting, had just heard about me. Just did, what was it, 1.137 million in sales in 5 days, right? But it's just, and the thing
crazy. What is that person selling?
They sell like vans, and so they're normally about 40,000, but normally they were doing like 700-ish thousand a month. And so it's just like, it's just awesome. But that's it's beautiful. Like, but the thing I love about this work is that it's very, like, it's just how things work, and it doesn't actually matter where people are or what they want. So I love anyone who just wants to create magic. I love when people have big visions and big goals. And that's, so many different areas, so many different, I'm open.
Do you notice that the more you align with your work, the more serendipity you have in your life?
Everything, it just is what it is. Like it's just hilarious how things show up and things unfold, and all the time. Like I love it. And the universe is always showing you where you are. The universe is always sending you what you need. Like I'll get a client and I'll just be talking to them and I'm like, oh, yep, like this is so familiar. Goodness. It is hilarious, the synchronicities that come. And, I just love it when I think a client came to me a couple months ago and she was so worried about something. She's like, oh, I'm so worried about this thing and I shouldn't be feeling this way. And I was like, 10 minutes ago, I was talking to my mentor about that about me, right? And I love,
the matching that goes on. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, so we haven't shared how people can get in touch with you and, get connected with you, because I'm sure they're going to have to work with you.
So my website's emmainflow.com. I have a Facebook group, which is where my community is, Soul Driven Babes. It says babes, men and women, all welcome there. Or Instagram, emmainflow is my Instagram.
Oh, and I also saw you on TikTok.
Oh, yes. I have started doing a couple of TikTok videos. We'll see.
They were quite clever.
Oh, I don't know.
No, you inspired me though. I was like, if Emma can do it, I can do it. Damn it. I'm kind of personally, I'm enjoying it, but I've just sort of done stuff I've already kind of posted on Instagram. But what I'll do is make sure I get all of your details and I'll put it in the description box below. And is there anything else that you want to share about, like any things that you're offering right now that you want people to just like flood in and participate in?
At the moment, I am just launched a new mastermind, which is coming out next week.
Oh yeah.
No, it's live now. It's not starting until August. It's on early bird for this week. That's where mine was going.
So many creations, so many groups.
Oh my gosh, so many things. And there's other things. I'm totally going to be launching a new program next week. I can just feel, I don't really know exactly what it is right now too. Ooh. So that I can feel it. Well, there's like, I think I've got like two things that are like this, but and so I'm just a bit confused as to which one it's going to be.
Oh, I wish I could hear more about that. Maybe after we stop recording, I want to hear. And share with us whatever it is that you, like, if there's anything that you feel like you haven't had a chance to talk about yet. Well,
how long do we have? I will just go and go and go. So,
we have as much time as we want. I could be on here forever. Let's just roll with it. Share, baby.
Yeah. I just feel like, so what we were saying before around like people manifesting what they want and not wanting it. I just think it's really, really important that people make space and make time to actually like connect into what they want. Like, what do you actually want? What do you actually want? How do you want life to go? Because I think we don't ask ourselves that. You know, I think we get so caught up in the day-to-day of what we've got because we're so patterned to continue the same thing and focus on the same thing and feel the same thing. And we don't realize the power of looking for a different perspective because we're so hung up on our own. And
do you think people think about what they think they should have, like, as opposed to what they think society or mom or dad or others have expectations of, but they don't really actually consider what it is that they actually truly want?
Yeah. So I believe we're definitely influenced by what people think we should have. We get influenced really young. We then focus on the things we should have. We create them into our lives. And then even if we've decided that we want something different, we feel, because of our thoughts and feelings being the same and repeating, it feels really, really hard to change something or to get something.
It's almost like being in the closet with what we really want.
Exactly. And so a lot of the time we've just created what we don't want and we just believe this is how it is because our thoughts and feelings support us having that, and they're just normal, and it's how we're used to life going. And so we have that same life. So either we don't actually realize that we don't actually really want it at all, or we've realized we don't want it and we don't think we can change it because we think our thoughts and feelings are real.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know? But that's why I always like just remind people that the way you think right now, the way you feel right now, you have beliefs in the complete opposite right now, the complete opposite direction, no matter what you feel about whatever you feel. And so to create something new, it's not about deleting how you feel right now. It's just being willing to focus differently.
Mm.
You know, the life that we really want is actually really, really close. It's just being willing to look in a different direction slightly.
Mm.
You know, it's not nearly as big as we imagine.
Mm-hmm. It's so subtle, yet it's totally true. And I would imagine that when people start I guess there's a trust that has to happen where people just start to shift their direction. Yeah. What do you find?
The thing is, it's funny you say there's a trust that needs to happen, because I feel like one of the things that trips everyone up when they come to manifesting is that they try to trust. Now, what I mean by that, I'll give you an example. Say someone has started a business and they're making like $2,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And they really, really want to make $50,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
What they believe they need to do to manifest it, being at $2,000 months, is suddenly believe that they're going to make $50,000 months.
Mm-hmm.
How on earth are you going to believe you're going to make $50,000 a month if you've only been making 2,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they think, well, if I was going to get that reality, I need to believe that. And I don't know how to. Of course you don't know how to. You're only making 2,000,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so they think that the reality they want so separate that they don't even go for it. They're like, well, I can't, right? Mm-hmm. Because they don't realize that manifestation happens not when we convince ourselves we're going here. If you can convince yourself, fantastic, good work, well done. Like that's excellent. You're going to get it, right? But when we start to go in that direction, so if we're making $2,000 months, there's a part of that person who's making $2,000 a month who loves their work, who believes in it, who feels happy when they work with people. Yeah. Maybe that part of them is getting 30% of the airtime, and 70% of the airtime is, why don't I have more clients? My business should be bigger, right? Mm-hmm. If this shifted, so 70% of the airtime was enjoying their work and loving it and feeling like they're making a difference, and 30% was, I wish this was bigger, they would probably start making $20,000 a month without fucking doing anything or even thinking about $20,000 a month. And so it's like utilizing what you've got rather than buying into the idea that you need something else, rather than buying into the idea you need to believe something or trust it's all going to change. Just start to shift the feelings now. Shifting the energy you've got available now is going to drastically change your life without even saying what you're going to make. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And what I'm wondering is, how do I word this? When there are people who doubt that manifestation is an actual thing that we create, that we actually can create our own reality. And I'm curious, do you have a way of communicating with people like that?
If anyone's ever like, I just doubt it, I don't know if it exists. One of the ways
that's not real.
I just say to them, well, how do you feel about a certain area of your life right now? And what have you been seeing there? Right? I just get them to look back. I'm like, look back at your life. Like, how did you feel when that was happening? What was going on for you? When things went well, how were you feeling? What was going on for you? And I just get them to kind of assess what's been happening in their life and how they feel about it compared to what they've been attracting and how things have been unfolding. And that's where, and this is what I say, if they're doubting that, I don't think this is real. I say, do you want to feel better? Do you want to feel happier? Do you want to enjoy each moment more? And they're like, well, yeah. Okay, well, why don't we play with this in this area of your life? If manifestation doesn't exist, who gives a shit? You're going to feel better. You're going to feel more confident anyway. If it does exist, fantastic. Your life's going to change. So there's no downside to it. Believing in yourself more, supporting yourself more, loving yourself more.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Very good, even if this is bullshit.
Well, that's an incredibly simple brass tacks sort of like, I think we can have, all humanity probably can agree on that, on those points. Like, we want to feel good. We want to feel love. We want to feel safe in our homes. We want to feel like we're living good lives. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And so it doesn't actually matter if none of this exists.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
That's the coolest part about it.
Exactly. The only moment you ever experience is the one that you're in. And so if you're enjoying that moment, you're going to enjoy all of them. And so there's always beauty to doing that.
I love it. It makes it so incredibly simple.
Yeah, but it is simple. It is simple.
Did you always know how simple, like when you were sort of wrapping your mind around it, was there a point where it just sort of dropped and you're like, oh my God, it's so simple? Or you were always like, this is it? Oh my gosh.
The concepts were always simple and the implementation is not as simple.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think the concepts are simple. It makes sense, easy to understand. Implementing it and doing the shifts and changing your focus is not it's not simple, and it takes work. Mm-hmm. Right? Because we're so ingrained to being who we used to be. And that's where, some of the work I do, which I love, is like helping people be okay with their human and make the human be okay, like making yourself okay with your human side, knowing how to tap back into soul, but making it okay and letting it be kind of like this is what I'm in. Okay, I can move this, like knowing how to adjust. Like, and I'm very, very open with all my clients, very publicly. I'm like, the work isn't making yourself so high vibe and so confident and so boss bitch that you didn't have doubt and worry ever, you know? And when we approach the work this way, it's because we're so scared that we've got flaws. We're so scared that we're ever going to be, you know, there's something deeper underneath there. And so
you demystify it. I mean, I definitely love how you do that. You very clearly put that out there, and I think that's super empowering for people.
Yeah, it's just so important that people know it. But the thing that mostly stops people having what they want is they're so scared of doubts, and they're so scared of that human. There's a big difference between knowing the human's normal and being okay with your human.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people go, yeah, Emma, I know doubt's normal, but it's pointless. And I'm like, so you're in resistance because you're really annoyed that you're in doubt, and therefore you're completely cut off from what you want, because you know what I mean? And so it's like actually doing that deeper work, so it's actually all okay.
Do you notice any sort of trends in what people tend to struggle with? Like, what's hard? Are there certain manifestations that you feel like are harder for people than others?
It does depend. I feel like the hard work, the deep work is your relationship to you. And that's always the most important thing. Most people I work with have more resistance around where they are and what they should be doing and what they should be having and how that's not good enough, rather than what they actually want. So for example, if someone's trying to attract love, they're probably more annoyed and more sad and more disappointed. Oh my gosh, I can't believe, like in the ego, I can't believe I am single and what are people going to think? Rather than, oh I don't believe love's available. Like it's all about like, oh my gosh, what does it mean about me? What it means about them, rather than about the actual thing that they want. Their resistance is about their relationship with self. And that's why, you know, most of the work I do, all the work I do is all about people's relationship with themselves and being okay with themselves. Because when that moves, you get what you want anyway.
It's so true. I mean, I remember how many years I spent in that place myself. I was always like, why are all these guys commitment phobes? What the hell? And I remember someone saying, you know, the only common denominator in all of these guys is you. Oh.
Love it, right? Yeah. That's harder, right? It's harder to acknowledge the self stuff.
It is, yeah. And we only are able to see and perceive what we're able to perceive. I mean, we all have our little wonderful blind spots.
Exactly. And often if you're not creating what you want, you do feel like it's not acceptable. So you don't even look at yourself and clear that feeling of it's not acceptable. Yeah. You look at what you want and you go, I need that. Why isn't it coming? That's what they're saying. And what the resistance is, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm failing at this whole manifesting thing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's strongly, that's not even a limiting belief for them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I can totally relate to that too. So interesting. Well, so is there anything else that you want to share before we close it up today?
Go after what you want. Notice how you feel. Notice how you feel. Notice how you feel. Notice why you feel that way. Remember, you can always be right and be honest and be truthful and still have a shit life. Right? As in, like, you can sit there and you can say, this is what I've been experiencing, and you can be so correct and so honest, and you can tell things exactly as they are and still not create magic. The fact that you're right doesn't mean you're going to create magic. Being willing to see things differently, being willing to connect back to truth, being willing to focus on what you want is the only way that you can create differently. And so it's not about being right. It's about creating magic and connecting to who you want to be and how you want things to be.
Awesome. So I encourage all of you to join Emma's group on Facebook, Soul Driven Babes. And she's totally available. I mean, for someone who is such a badass, she's totally available. And I really appreciate you joining me on the show. And I hope you'll come back maybe in some time, and we'll see what manifestations have taken place in the future. Yeah, and all of you, I'm going to provide all of the information so that you can reach out to Emma. And stay tuned. We're going to have a double show this week. I'm going to have an astrologer on tomorrow, Kate White, and we're going to talk about the Lionsgate portal. So stay tuned and take good care, everyone. Thanks, Emma.
Thank you. See ya.
See ya. Let me, there we go.